My father's remarks on my elder woman. I knew this conversation was coming. From the moment I told my father about her, I saw the hesitation in his eyes. He didn't say much at first. Just listened, just observed. But I could tell his mind was already forming thoughts, questions, judgments. And when he finally spoke, his words were ones I will never forget. Son, are you sure about this? It was the first thing he said. Not in anger, not in disapproval, just in that careful, measured tone that meant he was trying to understand. She's older than you, he continued. Life doesn't always work the way you think it will. You need to think long term. I could hear what he wasn't saying. He was worried about how people would perceive us. Worried about the challenges that came with a love that didn't fit the expectations of society. Worried that I might regret this choice someday. But he didn't know her. He didn't understand what made her different from anyone else. She has lived more life than you. He said it like a warning, like her experience, her wisdom, her past would somehow create a gap between us that couldn't be bridged. But he didn't see what I saw. He didn't see how that very experience made her love deeper, stronger, more real than anything I had ever known. He didn't understand that she had taught me more in a short time than anyone my age ever could, because she didn't play games. She didn't waste time with meaningless gestures. She loved intentionally, with purpose, with a kind of warmth that felt earned through years of learning what love truly meant. And that was exactly why I chose her. People will talk. There it was. The thing I knew he had been holding back. People will say things. Son, you have to be ready for that. And maybe he was right. Maybe people would talk. Maybe they would whisper. Maybe they would judge. Maybe they would never understand why a younger man would fall so deeply for a woman who had already lived through so much. But I didn't care, because love isn't about making the world comfortable. It's about choosing the person who makes you feel at home. And she was home to me. Does she make you happy? That was the moment everything changed. His voice softened, his expression shifted, and I realized, beneath his concern, beneath his hesitation, all he really wanted was to know that I was happy. And without a second of doubt, I answered, yes, Dad, she makes me happier than I have ever been. And that, more than anything, was the only thing that truly mattered. He sat there for a moment, his fingers tapping lightly against the table, his thoughts running deeper than his words. I knew my father well enough to understand that silence didn't mean acceptance, but it didn't mean rejection either. And then he spoke again. Son, I just don't want you making a mistake. His voice wasn't harsh, but it carried the weight of a man who had seen life unfold in ways I hadn't. A woman older than you. She's seen more, been through more. Are you sure she's not just leading you somewhere you're not ready to go? I understood his concern. He wasn't questioning her worth. He wasn't doubting my feelings. He was questioning time. Would I wake up years from now and regret choosing someone whose life had already been lived in ways mine hadn't? Would I grow to resent the gap between our ages, our experiences, our stages in life? But what he didn't understand was that love isn't measured in years. It's measured in connection, in understanding, in the way two souls align despite what the world sees as differences. And she was my equal in all the ways that mattered. She can't give you the same future a younger woman could. There it was. The heart of his concern. He was thinking about the years ahead. He was thinking about family, about time, about the inevitable changes that come when two people don't start life at the same place. But love doesn't follow a schedule. Love doesn't ask for permission based on age or stage or society's approval. Love finds you when you least expect it, in the person you never saw coming, and it chooses you, whether the world agrees with it or not. And I had chosen her. Not because of what she could or couldn't give me in the future, but because of what she gave me now. A love that was steady, a love that was real, a love that made every moment feel like enough, no matter what the years ahead held. Do you love her? His voice was softer now. The resistance had faded. He wasn't fighting me anymore. He was searching for my truth, and I gave it to him without hesitation. Yes, more than I can explain. He nodded slowly, looking away for a moment, before finally meeting my eyes again. Then that's all that matters. It wasn't an immediate acceptance. It wasn't full approval. But it was respect. And in that moment, I knew he didn't have to understand it completely. He just had to see that I did. And that was enough. His eyes studied me for a long moment, searching for something, doubt, hesitation, a reason to tell me I was wrong. But there was none. I had never been more certain of anything in my life. And I think he knew that. Love is a strange thing, son. His tone wasn't dismissive, nor was it fully accepting. It was the voice of a man who had seen love in all its forms, the easy kind, the complicated kind, the kind that makes no sense to anyone except the two people in it. I won't pretend I understand why you chose her, he admitted. But love has a way of finding people in ways we don't always expect. It was the closest thing to approval he had given me yet. Not full agreement, but not rejection either. And that, coming from my father, was something. She's lived more life than you. Does that not worry you? It wasn't the first time he had said something like this, but now his voice carried something different. Not doubt, curiosity. As if he was trying to see through my eyes, to understand what made this love different from anything he had known. And so I told him, "No, Dad, it doesn't worry me. It's one of the things I love about her." Because she had seen life in a way I hadn't. She had experienced the highs and lows, the lessons, the moments that shape a person into someone real. And that was what I loved about her. There was depth to her. No pretense, no uncertainty, no childish games. Just love that was raw, honest, and given without hesitation. But what about the future? I knew what he meant. The questions society asked, the doubts people whispered, the things people assumed when they saw a younger man with an older woman. But my answer was simple. Love isn't about planning every detail of the future, Dad. It's about knowing who you want to face it with. And I wanted to face it with her. Not because it was easy, not because it was expected, but because in a world full of temporary things, she was the one person I knew would never feel temporary to me. I see. It was a short response, but it carried weight. He was beginning to understand, not fully, not completely, but enough to know that this wasn't a phase. Enough to see that my heart had already made its choice. And for now, that was all I needed. He leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly, his fingers pressed together in thought. I could tell he wasn't just speaking to me, he was speaking to himself, trying to make sense of something that went against everything he had expected for me. Love isn't supposed to be complicated. His voice was steady, but I could hear the underlying concern. People usually fall for someone their age, someone on the same path, someone who fits into life the way they imagined. I nodded, knowing exactly what he meant. But love isn't about what's supposed to happen. It's about what does happen. And sometimes it happens in ways no one else understands. She fits me, I said simply. Maybe not in the way the world expects, but in the way that matters. Will she always be enough for you? It was a question I knew came from love, from a father's fear that his son might one day wake up feeling like he had made a mistake. But I didn't hesitate in my answer. She already is. Because love isn't about finding someone who checks every box on some unwritten list of what's expected. It's about finding someone who makes every day feel worth it. And she made everything worth it. You'll face challenges you haven't thought about yet. I saw the way his brow furrowed, the way his concern remained even as he softened. People will talk. They'll make assumptions. They'll question why a younger man would commit to an older woman. I let his words settle. I had already faced the whispers. I had already seen the way people looked at us, as if love needed to follow a script to be real. But love isn't something that needs permission. I don't care what people think, I said. They don't know what we have. They don't see what I see in her. His gaze held mine, searching for hesitation, but there was none. Then that's all that matters. He didn't smile, didn't celebrate, didn't suddenly act like he fully understood. But there was something in his voice, a quiet acceptance, even if it wasn't complete approval. A father who had raised his son to think for himself, now realizing he had to trust that decision. And in that moment I knew I didn't need his full understanding. I just needed him to see that this was real. And slowly he was beginning to. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully, his expression unreadable. I knew he was weighing every word, trying to decide what to say next. There was no anger in his eyes, no disappointment, just concern, just the kind of careful hesitation that comes from wanting the best for someone but not being sure if they're making the right choice. I just want to know if you've thought about everything. His voice was quieter now, less questioning, more reflective. Love feels strong in the moment, son. But life changes. Have you considered what it means to be with someone whose path has already been walked in ways yours hasn't? I took a breath, knowing what he meant. She had already lived through experiences I hadn't. She had seen parts of life I was just beginning to understand. But none of that mattered to me. Because love isn't about matching timelines. It's about walking together, no matter where the path started. I've thought about everything, I said, and I still choose her. What makes her different? This time, he wasn't challenging me. He genuinely wanted to know. He wanted to understand what made this woman, this unexpected love, so powerful that I was willing to stand against tradition, against expectations, against the natural doubts people would have. And my answer was simple. She makes me better. He raised an eyebrow, waiting for me to explain. She doesn't just love me, she understands me. She challenges me, supports me, gives me a kind of love that's built on experience, not just emotions. I could see him considering my words, because deep down, isn't that what every father wants? Not just for his son to be in love, but for him to be truly loved. If she's the one, then be sure. There was no final verdict, no dramatic approval or rejection, just a simple piece of advice, one that held weight, because it came from him. I just want you to be sure, son, not because of what people say, not because of what you feel now, but because love isn't just about what makes sense today, it's about what will last. I met his gaze, my voice steady. I am sure, and in that moment I think he finally believed me. He didn't have to understand it completely, he just had to trust that I did, and for now, that was enough.